Today is Saturday, May 9th, 2020. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Winners at War, Week 13.
That's right. It's the listener feedback show for the penultimate, the episode just before the finale. And we got lots to talk about. How many folks chimed in this week?
26.
26. There are some serious challenges facing us super fans as we head into the finale, trying to figure out how this thing's going to play out. Who's going to return from Edge of Extinction? Who's going to go 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st? How's it going to end? Lots to think about. And there's less people with the final 6, but it seems even more complicated. But thankfully, we got some fans here ready to weigh in and offer some suggestions, some analysis, some extra insight, help you maybe even think about things from a different angle you hadn't considered before, or just share their opinion about how they think things are going.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. Anything we need to cover?
Be sure to listen at the end of this podcast for your instructions on entering 6th place if you play in JSFL. Because there's a specific way that, and we're going to try to give
You didn't finish your thoughts.
2 points. Well, this has been, trying to figure out. Survivor's always throwing us a little curve with how to score things and how to do things. So listen at the end.
Excellent. Without further ado, let's kick it off and see what Pete thought of this last double episode.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This was Pete from Boston calling here. Wow. Awesome. We got a 2-hour episode. Yes, which was expected based on the next time we got that Edge stuff. But it was a great 2-hour episode. I'm going to let out a great, big even though, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I cannot believe that the 2 cops, especially Tony, was not targeted. Are you kidding me? What on earth are Ben, Michelle, Nick, Denise, what are they drinking? Kool-Aid or something? How could they not see that? Wow, and Ben is completely oblivious to it, and Nick seemed just as bad, which is why he got some karma on the blind side after getting rid of Jeremy, which was a big mistake, and Jeremy saw it. He said it to him, too. You made a big mistake, bro, when Probst snuffed his torch, and sure enough, Nick got blindsided, even though, he made that play with Michelle, before the challenge, the disadvantage. Not that it made too much of a difference. However, I was proud of both him and Michelle on winning a challenge, someone other than Tony. But man, how they didn't strategize to get rid of those cops is mind-boggling. My goodness. Well, Hagrid's creatures are coming to destroy you now. They're going to hunt you down, Aragog and everyone else. I just can't believe it. Tony's winning, plain and simple. I honestly think the way the edit is, Natalie's going to come back. That's the only way. The only way Tony don't win if it's a bitter jury, and this jury's not bitter. It's Tony. Sarah, I think at this point, because she's really done nothing but follow him, has no chance either. My goodness. Where's Professor Lupin, too? Changing into a werewolf. That's who Nick is. He's going to transform into a werewolf when it's the full moon. He needs a wake-up call from Lupin and Sirius Black. What are these people drinking so much for Winners at War? It's Tony and the minor leagues at this point, with some good folks on edge, I guess you could say. But it was a great 2-hour episode, guys. Can't believe it's the finale next week. Should be good, the reunion show on video from a probe set. Let's see what happens. Take care. Woo.
Whoa, thanks, Pete. I gotta agree 100% with Pete. How Tony and Sarah came out of that unscathed just must be a credit to their skill level in managing the social aspects of the game. That's interesting how, and there's been some underlying pattern since even the first vote, that unwillingness to say, the untrusting, that risk aversion that's been permeating through all the different tribal councils and the votes where they've had difficulty selecting targets. Just seemed to all the way through, and strange that, at least from the perspective we get as the fans, the viewers.
Well, I can't help but think that because they're all winners, maybe they don't see them as much of a threat or any more of a threat than they are. I think they think
They're
they
all
have
like me.
Yeah, we all have a chance.
We all have it. We're all on equal footing.
They really may. Denise can make an argument. Michelle could even make an argument. I don't know how she's perceived. And actually, we're not seeing that Sarah's doing as much, and yet I believe she is behind the scenes, that they just haven't necessarily highlighted it for us as much. But I believe other people would
on
see
some
it.
level, she knows with how Michelle got under her skin there.
Yeah.
Because she was name-calling after
Yeah.
Michelle told her that she's
Yeah.
not perceived as being a winner, that she doesn't have the resume.
And I think Ben thinks he has just as much chance to win as
I wonder-
Tony or Sarah.
He has improved his social game. He stumbled multiple times, but he's doing better, and he said that's really what he came out to do.
Yeah.
So maybe him succeeding at that is enough that he's not on full guard somehow. That it's
Come on, it's $2
distracting him.
million.
I
$2
don't know.
million.
I'm with Pete. I can't believe you didn't make a move.
No, I can't either, but
There you are. Yep. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Boston calling in. I thought it was really smart of Sarah to make Ben think that getting rid of Nick was his idea. And I do agree that if she makes it to final tribal with Tony, her pitch is going to be that she was the brains behind Tony's social and physical brawn, which is ironic considering the original season. But I just don't think that's going to be salient to the jury. I think they're going to see through that. And the entire episode, I'm just yelling to the TV, how was no one talking about Tony and at least trying to flush this idol that they know he has? This late in the game, an idol is practically a one-way ticket to final tribal council, and I don't get how no one's trying, or how they possibly think that they could beat him in the end. Why not go out at least trying to get him out like Kim was doing? I agree that the end of the episode was really disappointing. I think that they could have done a rundown of everyone's advantages and played the challenge and started the finale with the new final six, but nope. And overall, I think the editing this season was pretty poor, and I think we didn't get to see a lot of the gameplay, and a lot of other elements were just lost, and I don't know, I don't enjoy it. It kind of tainted it for me, even though I think this was a great season with great players. Predictions for next week. So I definitely think Tony is going to win. He's my pick. I don't see what could possibly disrupt him, except for two things. Number one, if he has to make fire, and he has to make fire against Ben, I think that could be an issue for him. He could beat Ben, but Ben seems to be like a pro fire starter. And somehow, I think if Natalie were to get back in, and then, but even at Final Tribal Council, I don't think anyone beats Tony. So if Tony's there, he's the winner. Period. Speaking of Natalie, I went into the season thinking there was no possible way that there would be an Underwood situation. And the only way that someone who got back in at the final six could win is if it was someone who had been recently voted out, and definitely not someone who had only played 3 days prior to that. Maybe not. Maybe the jury, who has spent a lot of time with her, they know what she went through. They know how hard she hustled, and she played that version of the game. It's not the main game, but in this season, that was on the table. And I don't know, maybe they're gonna respect that and make it more about personal relationships and less about the gameplay, which is surprising given who is playing this season. I can't help this gut feeling I have about Michelle. I mean, she's been on the outside of a lot of votes, and definitely has not been in control of the game for the vast majority of the game, but she's still there. She's keeping herself alive. She's maintained relationships so as people give her their fire tokens. And is there something to be said for that? Like, she's not riding coattails because she's not in the inn, and yet she's still there anyway, and there's this whole narrative about how she didn't deserve her first win and blah blah blah. I don't know, I can't shed that. Maybe if she's in the final with certain people, she could be the winner, but again, if Tony's there, I think no one else has a chance, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Christiana. I do think it is coattails a little bit if you're not in a classic direct sense, but if you kind of get dragged along. Nobody cares. You're not being told what the vote is. You get to stay because they've got a different agenda. That's a different kind of coattails.
Yeah, I'm not seeing coattails myself, because she has fought so hard, and I do think she has case because they've shown an awful lot of her throughout the season.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I think she could make a case.
Closest you could get
and
to an
being the underdog and getting there is impressive. If you've been the underdog almost the entire time, which she has. So
again,
and you
that
still
can
get there.
That can happen through nothing of your own doing.
It can, but I don't believe it did, and that's the difference.
Okay, sure, absolutely, yeah. That dynamic is interesting.
I actually think every single person could make a really good case for themselves. Probably, I think Ben might not make as good a case.
It doesn't seem from what they've shown in the jury reactions to Ben that he's well received.
Yeah.
He's mocked or seen as being overly sensitive or some things like that
and
in the jury comments.
And all over the place.
Yeah.
And this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think Ben has as good a chance with the jury. I could see Denise making a good case for herself. I could see even Michelle, Sarah. Definitely Tony. I don't think Tony has to make as much because there are people who see him, like Rob said, he's the boss.
He's very capable of making a good presentation for himself, too. His summary will be on point.
We know if it's Natalie, I agree. If she gets back, she does have a chance because of they all see her a certain way. They know, even though I believe... Overall, even though I like Natalie, and a part of me would think it was fun to see her come back and do that, but then the other part of me says, but that's just not Survivor. That's
like Christiana
right.
said. Like Christiana said, it was made a part of this game.
Yeah,
and when you make it's just like the original season in that sense.
It's
so
just harder to swallow.
Tony is Devins and Natalie is Chris Underwood, and if she's able to come back and knock him out.
Well, even Chris didn't go out on day 3, did he? Or day 2, or whatever it was.
Chris went out on day 6, so basically second.
Down there, but Natalie being the first out and then winning, that's, my goodness.
Yes, it is staggering to consider.
Yeah, that alone just kind of boggles my mind and puts it in pause for a second, like, what?
But every good player is going to make the most out of every aspect of the game that they can. And so definitely don't want to fault them. And Ben could be a Gavin. If Natalie's there with him, he could definitely be a Gavin. He might be surprised at how well received he is.
Well, and even if there are people that were out on the edge that didn't even like Natalie, I mean, come on, you've got to respect Natalie and her go get it.
Gumption, yes.
Gumption, yes.
She definitely delivers results. Thanks, Christiana. We love all this, getting us thinking about it and looking at it from different angles. Next up, we got an email from Liina in Estonia. Hey, what an episode. Let's blindside Nick. No, Nick is safe. Jeremy's got to go. You can't have Ben, or... maybe Michelle should go. 50-50 flip. Michelle's safe. That dancing was silent. Nah. And Jeremy is out and Ben is kissing Tony. That was a funky dance she did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony, so much. My USB is safe. The second tribal council, Michelle is out. No, Michelle is safe. No, you can't get me. And Nick is out. The Queen Slayer was slayed. I like Michelle's Hail Mary trying to psych out Sarah. I think she'll create more chaos. Did you see the secret scene about Tony and his energy? Yeah, we did. This was funny. He was doing cartwheels on an empty beach and chopping the tree. Oh my goodness. The EOE challenge and them running around was funny. As this was the final day to use the tokens, I didn't understand why everybody else didn't buy some food or something. Denise buying rice on the last day you can buy something is a smart play. She was also thinking, if they do vote me out, I need to have a full belly to be stronger than anybody else on EOE and give me a better chance to get back in the game. About the finale, I hope that Natalie will get back in, but for some reason I think it'll be Tyson or Rob. I don't know. The Amber confessional was strangely longer than others. Whoever it is, I hope they have sense to go with Denise and Michelle. Maybe it'll break up the Tony Sarah Ben alliance. Although my USB is Ben, I don't think he will win. There's so many members of the jury who appreciate a good game and can evaluate it without being bitter. I don't think that Ben, even if he is in the final three, can make a good enough case for them to vote for him. Is the tribal where they are 6 the last to use an idol? No, it's actually Final 5. So in Final 5 is Ben and Tony and maybe the comeback from EOE. Can't wait to listen to all the feedback to help make my JSFL decisions. As the corona restrictions are reduced now, I'm going to visit my mother and mother-in-law for Mother's Day. All right. Good plan. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Liina. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Cameron from North Carolina. Wonder if Ben getting up in that first morning out of the fire, I wonder if that had anything to do with the popping noise and his PTSD. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I just remember seeing that from Healers, Hustlers. Strategy for that first tribal bounced all over the place. Ultimately, it's beyond me how at this point, this far into it, Nick, Michelle, Jeremy, and Denise, and maybe Ben couldn't unite to flush out Tony's idol and take out Sarah. Tony really is masterminding when he needs to be at the forefront, and when he needs to lay low, and laying low for that first vote clearly worked well in his favor. I really actually enjoyed Ben, Jeremy, and Nick's personal stories about how the game affected them well past day 39 into their actual lives. That's a perspective we really never get to hear before, mostly on account of how rarely we have gotten this many winners of the game talking to each other. Jeremy's fate had been sealed for a while now, and that challenge really may have been Nick's saving grace for that tribal at hand. I don't know why the peanut gallery on EOE treats those challenges like they're every man for themselves. Time and time again now, it's like the whole group decides what to do with the reward anyway. It indeed looks like Nick played that disadvantage correctly. Ben easily would have won that had it not been bestowed upon him. Agree to disagree with you guys, Joanna and Stacy, but personally, Michelle's gloating after her immunity win just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe it's because I've been a sucker for Nick this whole time, of course, and knew her winning meant he was going to go. But going from crying over not finishing that first challenge to having that explosive of a celebration, something just wasn't sitting right with me there. At this point, I just got to say well done, Tony. I don't think I would even need to watch the finale, though of course I will. I think I'm more certain now he's getting that $2 million than I was with Tommy at any point last season. And if you go back and listen to my listeners' feedback from last season, I was all but 100% sure week after week Tommy was winning. I mean, I truly think at this point Tony has that magical mist that only few winners of Survivor have been given to manipulate everyone they talk to. I mean, good lord, every single person there was saying, I wonder what me and Tony will do when it came to that final 6 vote out. Meaning everyone has it certain in their minds that they're with Tony. How Sarah and him came out of this 2-hour episode without the slightest scratch whatsoever blows my mind, but kudos, Tony. Unless we're getting a Chris Underwood scenario, I'm all but certain he's the ultimate Survivor winner coming out of this. I almost want to say coming back and doing so god-awful on Game Changers was good for him in the long run. He had that leverage for the whole first half of the game of, yeah, I'm a winner, but last time I played, I did terribly. Next time on Survivor, based on how the edits have been going, I gotta say I'm all but certain the returnee will be Natalie. And she indeed has herself an idol, guaranteeing at least 5th place, so Chris Underwood round 2? I truly think she does go around 5th and Tony missed his way to Final Tribal Council, but with a season as unpredictable as we've had, I gotta say, I'm not ruling out a Natalie Anderson win. And heck, who knows, Tony Vlachis just might get that Rick Devens treatment. Ultimately though, I believe you guys' Final 6s, Final 5 for that matter for Joanne. Yeah, Stacy made a good comment that I'm racing down there for the finale, so let's see how it ends, everyone. I look forward to the finale, look forward to the feedback as always, only one more week. And let's hope we have a fall season. Please have a fall Survivor. All right, guys.
Well, along that point, they did announce in the just overall general CBS announcement that Survivor would be back for it said its 21st season, but they meant its 21st season on TV, which always spans 2 years, the fall and then the spring. So that threw me off a little bit. I even sent them a note, and they said, no, just television seasons, not actual Survivor seasons.
Well, I do think that if Natalie comes back, my final order changes because I've almost kind of decided that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking maybe Sarah would go out sixth because if Natalie, Tony, and Ben have idols, then who are they going to go after? I mean, she knows Denise and Michelle are in the bottom and more likely to work with her than Sarah.
Yes.
So why wouldn't Sarah be the logical?
Exactly.
And why wouldn't Denise and Michelle be anybody but me?
Sure. Yep.
So, but it could end up
I
being
think
a
you're onto
tie.
something.
Could go to Rocks. So, who knows?
Yep. I like
Or they could play an idol for Sarah, and Tony or Ben could go.
he's talked about
I know.
actually losing his game for
Yeah,
her. So
that
we'll
she's
see.
the only one he would lose the game for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll see. I like how Cameron described it, how everyone thinks, how they've all got a plan with Tony.
Yeah, what are me and Tony going to do? I like that.
That was good. All right. Good luck with those picks, Cameron. Next up, we got an email from Barbara in Long Island.
You know what would be really cool? If Denise somehow gets Tony out, thus claiming to have slain both the queen and the potential king of Survivor.
Quite a story you're cooking up there, Barbara.
That's right. But while that's fun to think about, I really hope Tony does win this season. He's the greatest player I've seen in years. Think of the last several winners: Tommy, Chris, Nick, Wendell, Ben, Ugg. Tony literally runs rings around all of them for entertainment. I'm sure others will disagree, but this is my feedback. Ha! I'm not very good at playing JSFL. I always end up somewhere in the middle, which doesn't bother me because it's so much fun playing.
Yes.
For this Final Five selection, I wish we had a blank right in the box. I know it's technically impossible, but I think the person who comes back from Edge is going to end up somewhere in the 5. And who will that returnee be? My bet is on Natalie or Tyson. So watch it be someone like Danny. No. Well, I've
All
got
right, Barbara.
I've got about 70 fire tokens in my pocket, so I'm off to buy a jar of peanut butter. Stay healthy, everyone, and happy finale. All right, thanks, Barbara. But actually, you can write in, and you get to select from all 19 people.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back into your picks page and check it out.
More on that at the end. Good
Yes.
job. Thanks, Barbara. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and all my Survivor friends. We are nearly at the end of the season. I'm so looking forward to the next episode to see who will be crowned the winner of this season and win the $2 million prize. I really do hope it is Natalie when she comes back and she wins it, though the chances are a little bit slim, but I suppose it will be between Tony and Natalie, and I think the third person there will be Michelle. Sarah will not be able to get in, and the last two stragglers will be Denise and Ben. I really wish Ben had left earlier. I just cannot stand him. And gosh, who brings those shoes on an island? Anyway, I'll be happy to see him go. And in the last episode, I was so happy to see Michelle win. It is always so satisfying to see somebody who's at the bottom struggle to win. And it was a bit unsportsman behavior from the rest of them not to clap for her win. So that was a bit not nice. Denise, I really didn't understand her whole tactic at the end, Well, I couldn't understand that. But it just seems like something like she'd given up. Tony, I never knew I would say this, but he's been very entertaining and he will be a justified winner of the season, though in my heart of hearts, I would like Natalie to win. And I was so amazed. She had 14 tokens. Oh my God, that was really amazing. I really think she is such a strong person, and it's a joy to watch her. One person's demise was very satisfying to watch was Sophie's, because she can be so condescending. It was quite satisfying to see when she was voted out, though I just didn't want to see her cry, but still, hey, that's the way it is. I'm looking forward to the next episode, and I think after the season is over, I'm going to do a few rewatches of the early seasons. And also I've got the Australian Survivor all taped and ready to watch when there's going to be no Survivor, and then there's going to be no Amazing Race, and I'm going to miss everybody, but I am so looking forward to the next season. And let's see who wins. So in my final 6, I have got between Tony and Natalie. I have to make up my mind. Then I've got Michelle, I've got Sarah, and then I've got Denise, and then I've got Ben. So let's see how that works out. On that note, I hope everybody is keeping well everywhere in the world. Please keep safe, and all my prayers are with everybody. God bless and namaste.
Oh, namaste. Thank you, Rashmi. Good job. Rashmi mentioning Sophie reminded me that's going to be one of Tony's biggest points to make about how important it was to take Sophie away from Sarah. And he knew that he had a connection with Ben and that Sarah had a connection with Ben, so there's some shared responsibility there. And he's going to talk about how important and significant it was when he made that Sophie move. And that was, of course, part of what really had Sarah upset, too.
She seemed to mostly get over it, but that you see them arguing all the time anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again, Rashmi. Next up, we got an email from Mike in Omaha. First, let me say that I think if in retrospect this season isn't thought on especially well, it's because of the choices the game runners and editors have made far more than the gameplay itself. I had Jeremy and Tony going, but I had Nick safe in JSFL, so I am decently happy on that score. It's staggering to me that Sarah and Tony are the remaining decals. It is astonishing, truly, that Tony Vlachos is the only person left in this game that hasn't received a single vote. If Sarah and Tony make it to the end, they deserve to give everyone a masterclass in deception. As the son of a police officer myself, I have to say I enjoyed Tony saying he is thinking smarter, not harder. Like Jeremy, there's always that push and pull between cops and firefighters, but I'm unequivocally on one side of the equation. Cops are us indeed. It boggles my mind, but in all good ways. Ben is an interesting case, isn't he? He really is a good guy. I feel like this season helped nail that home for me. That being said, I literally can't fathom a situation in which he wins this game unless the whole jury decides to award the win to a veteran. And that isn't without its own merit, but I don't believe that that's what's going to happen here. I just can't see how Ben wins. Tony has dominated, at least seemingly so, and if he wins, it will be jaw-dropping, but not in the least bit surprising. If Tony can actually get to the end, I think there's an extreme likelihood that he wins, and I think it would be well-deserved. Sarah, as always, is a social mastermind and an amazing game player. I believe she's looked at as the lesser threat out of the Cops R Us alliance, but I think the others make that assumption at their peril. She has a number of friends on this jury, more than Tony. She has made excellent moves and still finds herself in a place of power. My head tells me that Tony's going to get clipped before the end, but they don't have enough time left to get rid of Sarah, and she runs away with it at the end. I believe her only flaw is that she can make such snap decisions. Now, that is a good thing very often being a police officer, but can be detrimental in a game like Survivor. Ms. Michelle is someone I have always championed, so I hope this season proves to everyone and to herself that she is a good player. I honestly believe that depending on who she's at the end with, she could win. A lot of people like Michelle. Her winning is definitely an outside chance, but I think there's more likelihood of that than a Ben win.
Yep.
Of course, the returnee from Edge of Extinction is going to likely tell the tale here. If it's someone who can be used by Denise and Michelle and possibly Ben against the cops, which I feel is the most likely scenario, then we've got one heck of an end game yet to see unfold. Oh, wait a minute, I seem to have forgotten someone, and I think that is very much how this person that my heart tells me is going to win this whole thing is going to make it happen. Did it escape everyone's attention that on several occasions from different players, they were standing around and explaining precisely why Denise is such a threat to make off with the money? Did anyone stop to think why they included the bit about Denise and her would-be tattoos? They ended up being real tattoos. Malcolm knows, and I know, Denise is not someone to be dismissed. She is masterful at playing from the bottom. I just feel that her interesting confessionals and camera cut-tos, much like Michelle Fitzgerald in her first season, are there for a reason. Now she's very likely my favorite winner ever, so if she wins this thing, I will go supernova from sheer excitement. So don't sleep on Denise, baby. In her words, Mama D needs a win. Thank you so much, Stacy and Joanne. Anyone listening, I thank you too. Everyone be safe. Thank you, Mike. Good job, buddy. Next up, we got a call from Kyle.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey and all the Survivor fans at home. This is Kyle from Calgary, Canada, calling with this week's feedback. Overall, I thought it was a good episode. I'd stop short from saying it was the penultimate episode. It was average or above average. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything earth-shattering or mind-blowing. I do want to give some credit where credit is due, and that is to Michelle and her social game. She has shown time and time again that she makes some really solid connections, and that's evidenced by the fact that she gets all these fire tokens from people who get voted off, sometimes by her. And I think it's going under the radar. I don't think it's enough to win the game, but it really shows me how she was able to win her season, because she really played it well, and she does make some really great connections out there. As for winners, Tony is the one. There is no question. I think Tony is winning, unless, of course, Sarah votes him out, and that is key. Sarah has got to vote Tony if she wants to have any chance of winning this game, because I think every move that he has seen has come to light at Tribal Council, and the jury knows about it. She might be a really solid support or partner for Tony, but the partners rarely ever get glorified, or they rarely ever get votes, or it's rarely ever seen, because you don't just see these gigantic moves that maybe she's done behind the scenes, and it's always a game of catch-up when you're trying to explain yourself. But what Tony has done and what Tony has been able to complete, that's on paper. You can see that. They've seen that time and time again, and it's been very, very entertaining for all those jury members, so good for them. As for who might be coming back, I'd be really upset if Natalie didn't come back. I don't know if she's going to win, but I think she definitely deserves a chance to get back in there and see what she can do. I mean, she has been an extremely hard worker out there. She's never given up. She's got 1,000 fire tokens and earn them all in a way that it just blows my mind. I mean, running around, knowing the island, doing what she's doing, and then, you know, that's the athleticism part, but then the outwit part, by being able to know how many fire tokens Nick was going to be willing to spend, and maybe he'd bring in Michelle. Also, she can just amass this small fortune and really increase her chances when she gets back into the game. And not only that, I mean, she gave an idol to Tyson. I mean, Tyson was one of those real cold-hearted players that I don't think anyone really expected much. He's fun to watch, but he doesn't seem like a really nice guy. And God, she made Tyson cry. Like, how often does that happen? That's it for me. I think I'm looking forward to the finale. It's a bittersweet finale for me, and I think for everyone involved. But let's just be thankful for what we got and hope for more down the road. As always, thanks for all you do. I hope everyone is keeping safe and healthy and well at home, and we'll talk to you after the finale. All right, thanks. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Kyle. I do believe that Natalie secured a very aggressive jury member by buying that immunity idol for Tyson. I think those were tokens.
I don't think that's when she
tokens
did it at
well
all.
spent. I think it could be part of the reason. There's multiple facets to what you could reap from that investment.
Maybe, but I think you're.
I didn't say it was the primary reason. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
This was a solid 2-hour episode, and I can only imagine we are in for one great finale this season.
You bet.
If I was given the 50-50 coin from someone else, I would have kept it for myself. So I'm not sure why Jeremy gave it back to Michelle when he could have saved it for himself and used it. he would probably have stayed in the game because of it. When on the island with no way to keep track of time and dates, I can understand the conversation that Tony and Jeremy had, but it was a nice conversation that they showed us between them. I don't know what Denise was thinking when she was talking about just giving up and that she is ready to go to the edge. I feel like the first tribal council of the night had a different feeling to it. And I'm not talking about the mad scramble that we've seen the past several times. I'm talking about the conversation of trust and how that is affecting them outside of the game. With all of the lies and paranoia that happens out there, I found that question was a unique one to get that insight into what happens outside of the game. Is it just me, or did it seem the conversation Tony and Sarah had about Michelle leaving next seemed to happen in front of everyone? If I was out on the edge, I probably would have read this clue to myself, not shared it with anyone. But at the same time, I understand why he did share the clue. When I heard the phrase throne of stone, I would have known that is a unique clue and searched for it. I think they probably had to read it out.
Yeah, there wasn't an option.
Yeah. Natalie once again proves to us why she's the beast on the edge, and I would be happy and can easily see her coming back into the game with all of the advantages and power tokens that she has. As of now, I am cheering for her to get back in the game, and it would be quite impressive if she could find a way to win. I had Jeremy and Denise as my vote out picks this week, but I had Nick as a safe point, so I got one of the two vote outs right. I know I'm not winning this side challenge, but I am at least not the second to the bottom anymore. I'm really looking forward to how this season finishes out. And to me, this is one of the best seasons of Survivor that we've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, this, to Jack's point, I don't know that we'll ever see another one like this. This, with all these winners like this is unique. So it's important to appreciate it like Jack was doing. Next up, we got a call from Andrew.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Andrew from West Virginia. Wow, we're finally here. We have one episode left. What a ride that we've had this season. Let's just jump into the first immunity challenge. Nick wins immunity. Michelle has a breakdown, which I get. First of all, these people are deprived of a lot of things. Basic human needs plus like the other basic human needs that we don't think about, such as like affection and attention. These people are drained at this point. It's a month into the game. So I get her frustration. I don't want to say I felt bad for her, but I definitely sympathized with that moment. I'm really glad that they highlighted the point in Tribal Council when Jeff finally brings up, how did Survivor affect you on the outside world? And I'm a part of a group on Facebook, and they often do question and answers with previous players. And I always ask that same question, like, how did Survivor change your life? And I don't mean the money, if they were a winner. I mean, like, how did the actual experience, like, just what did you take from it? And because I feel like if I were to ever play Survivor, I would probably feel the same way Ben and Michelle did, and I would probably have extreme trust issues afterwards because these people won. So these two specifically are talking about when they were out there for a little bit over a month, they take away this extreme paranoia, and I feel like that is justified. I'm so glad that Jeff finally brings this up on the show because I feel like us as viewers and maybe even some other players might not see that some people take away an extreme paranoia from the show. We've had such great human moments this season, and I think that was another human moment in the fact that was the $1 million worth their paranoia in an Uber going to a bar, what Michelle said, or is the $1 million worth potentially ending or affecting your marriage like it did with Ben? I thought that was a great human moment. I think it really brings some perspective from their point of view. Nick's immune. We go to vote. I kind of think that Michelle does kind of know that Jeremy's going to go, which is why I think she did think for a split second about playing that 50-50 for Jeremy. However, it benefits her game that she didn't, because if she had have played it for Jeremy, she ultimately would have gone home on the revote. So Jeremy goes home. We go back to camp. Michelle is Nick. What are you thinking? Because I thought that this was also great by the editors and great foreshadowing and just a really great narrative that she's literally just sitting here grilling him. What is Nick's journey really to the end now that Jeremy's gone? Ultimately, I do think that Tony is going to take this home if he can make it to the final 3. I have a feeling it's going to be him and Sarah making fire, and I think that Sarah's going to go home at 4, and it's going to be, I'm going to say Natalie, but let's say Edge, returnee, Michelle, and Tony in the final 3. But I would put money that it's going to be Natalie. She had 14 tokens. She has 3 advantages and an idol and peanut butter. Like, she's gonna get back. Like, there's no, like, they should have just shown us the challenge last week because it's that obvious. So thank you guys. I am so looking forward to giving you my feedback this week, but I am also very, very, very excited to watch another season with you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Andrew. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Nathan in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hello, everyone. It's been a long time since I've been able to give any feedback. I've been working about 65 to 70 hours a week for the past 2 months. I'm exhausted, but I'm grateful that I still have my jobs. I hope everyone's been doing well and staying safe during this time. This double episode was pretty straightforward, but it was still very entertaining. Tony continues to play an outstanding game, and I really hope he wins. I was never a huge Tony fan, but I never disliked him either. I always found him entertaining, so I'm glad he has stayed in this game. He has spiced it a lot more than it would have been if he was voted out with the old schoolers, and he's turning me into a fan. Go Tony. In this episode, I kept waiting to see who would bring his name up, but I didn't hear a thing. I know he has an idol, but I was surprised there wasn't an attempt at a blindside, or at least to flush it out. No matter what happens, he has stamped his name into Survivor history forever. I definitely agree there. I am glad they didn't spend tons of time on the edge this episode. I'm not sure where everyone else stands, but I have to say that I still hate the Edge of Extinction. I dislike it more and more every week. I want to watch Survivor, not people carrying logs up and down a hill or walking to get 20 coconuts one at a time. Yes, it shows their endurance, but I can watch an Iron Man competition if I want to watch endurance. If someone from the Edge wins this season, I'll be extremely upset. It just doesn't make sense that someone can be out of the game for so long just to come back and win. Yes, I know some people will say they are still in the game, but they are not. Don't get me going. Maybe I'm just grumpy from working so much, but the Edge has really gotten on my nerves this season, and the fire tokens haven't helped. Can we bring back the End Edge of Extinction campaign before they film next season? Probst has already said that they're not going to do it again for at least in the immediate future, so you can take solace there, Nathan. I'm glad to be back giving feedback, even if I can only do it one more time before the long break. I hope everyone enjoys the finale. Go Tony! I think he'd make a great king to sit next to Sandra. Thanks, Nathan. Good job. Great to have you back. Next up, we got a call from Nicola-n-Jackson.
Survivor fans, this is Jackson and
Nicola.
We love the episode Vote Out Point because I really wanted Jeremy to go because I did not like him. He was not my favorite person in the game.
I have some news for you. We didn't get a vote out point because I didn't have Jeremy going.
Seriously? Yeah. I got a vote out point though.
You did, okay.
Yeah, and also the person who won 3 times in a row. I love him.
Oh, Tony?
Yes, and he's spying in the tree so he knows all the conversations.
He is.
Like he heard one of Denise.
Yeah.
Denise say something about him.
Yeah. So then he thought he was going to get rid of her. But then something must have happened because he didn't.
Huh.
So we enjoyed the episode. I watched it Wednesday night, and it's Friday night now. We just finished watching here with Jackson.
I love that where they had to shoot the balls up and it rolls down and catched it and digged under the sand and had to put the puzzle. I also love the one where you had to go through
Do the high step.
Yeah, and put the blocks on. And when you flick it, and they go down, and then they hit the gong.
I did. So yeah, it was a good episode overall. I'm really looking forward to the finale. Sad it's all going to be over, and who knows when Survivor will be back. I know at the last 15 minutes, lots of people are moaning about it or they didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice retrospective for everybody. I really think they could have made more, or at least given us more information about the fire tokens and where they were being spent and who was spending them and what they bought. You know, I mean, all we got at the end of that one tribal council was or the challenge was today's the last day you can spend them. It would have been interesting to see if, aside from the time where Denise said that they bought rice, what else they bought. And that sure did seem like a huge jar of peanut butter that Natalie had. So I'm going to wrap this up, get this little man to bed.
We're not wrapping this up right now.
Yeah, we are.
No,
it's time for bed.
No, I'm serious right now.
It's time for bed. I hope all the mothers out there have a wonderful Mother's Day. And everybody be safe. Thank you, Joanne and Stacey, for everything you do. And we'll talk to you next week. Say bye, Jackson.
Bye. I'm an old man.
All right. Thanks.
You are a character is what you are, Jackson.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Jackson. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Christine in Hawaii.
Hi, Joanna, Stacy, and all of you amazing Survivor fans. Aloha. Jade teaches English at one of our high schools and is completely burned out by the distance learning this week.
I bet.
So it's up to me to send in our listener feedback. What a great 2-hour show. We loved our girl Natalie with her fistful of fire tokens. It looks like she's in a great place for coming back in the game, although I don't think she'll be able to make it to the final 3. She has not had any opportunities to create alliances in this very social game. Also, she would be seen as a big threat. So I don't think anyone will want to take her to the end. I think she will have to win immunity in every challenge to get to that final round. Sarah and Tony are still playing super hard, and it's crazy that neither one of them was voted out this week. I would love to see one of the Cops R Us go all the way. They are so fun to cheer for since I no longer have a USB in the game. Wendell was my first pick, then Sophie, and I don't think either of them are coming back from extinction. This is my first time playing JSFL, and I've had a blast.
All right.
Even though I'm terrible at making vote off and save picks, I love the excitement it adds to our weekly Survivor Watch. There is so much to look forward to in the finale. Who will come back from extinction? Who will be in the final 3? I haven't a clue. But I can't wait to hear the superfan predictions and your listener feedback show. We'll be listening. Mahalo, Joanne and Stacy. All right, mahalo, Christine. Thanks for your feedback and for carrying it for both of you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Next up, we have a call from Drew.
Good morning, Joanne and Stacy. Good morning, everyone. This is Drew. I'm a little breathless. It's because just finished my morning run. Thank you guys for keeping me company. Here are a couple thoughts. If Natalie doesn't come back from the Edge of Extinction, it'll be a huge disappointment. Edge will be a huge disappointment. I think that's all there is to it for me. She's the only one who can be a satisfying return, and if she does, I hope she dominates and takes the entire thing. That would be fantastic. Other than that, for the people who are still in the game, I'm pretty much on Team Michelle now, which surprises me. I didn't expect that, but I think that her story about proving that she's a worthy winner of her season is pretty strong, actually. They have emphasized that, but not kind of hit us over the head with it, so I think that's good. And if she could somehow manage a Tony takedown, then that would be incredible also. This was a 3-point week for me, which is fine. It probably was wishful thinking on my part, well, 100% wishful thinking, but I put Tony and Sarah to go. Thought maybe there's some way. These people are smart to get rid of Tony and Sarah, but on the flip side, I had them both safe, so it wasn't a super bold play. I mean, wasn't about to put Nick safe or Ben or Denise even, but I did put Jeremy, so that was a bummer. Anyway, listen to this. If they let Tony get to the finals, as much as I am not on Team Tony, if they let him get there, if they are stupid enough, foolish enough, inane enough to let him get there, he deserves it. And they deserve to lose to him, more to the point. So I'm really hoping that's not what happens, because it's like been broadcast loud and clear for the last, month or two. But who knows? Maybe, like I said, could just be building up to a huge Tony downfall. So still holding out hope for that. I'd be okay with Ben winning too, and Denise even though I think she's kind of smug. I'm going to call it good for this week. Thank you guys. Yeah, the final picks are going to be pretty tough. But you know what? I'm just going to go all in on Natalie. I'm just going to say she's the one that comes back. I don't want it to be Tyson either. You know. No, thank you. All right, everyone, have a great Thursday, Friday, Saturday, everything up until the finale. Talk to you later. Bye.
I like Drew's approach. He's going to go all in. Let's make it exciting. Thanks, Drew. Good job. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh. And I was going to, send in my typical comments, but I'm just not really focusing too well today. I just want to let you know that through almost all of this season of Survivor, one of my dogs has been ill. And we've gone through all kinds of tests and going to an animal hospital and going to our vet and getting all kinds of medication. And he gives him one kind of medication for one problem, and that didn't work, and we get him something else. But he's no longer eating, and he's really weak. And so we made a decision today that we're not going to continue having him tested and giving him all kinds of meds. And I talked to the vet about it this morning. So I'm not in a real good mood for this, I guess. But I just wanted to let you know that how important your show is. You may not realize how many of us find it very comforting and fun to listen to it. And as a matter of fact, in the morning when I walk my dogs, I always listen to you guys. So I just want to say thank you for doing what you do. The listener feedback is also important. I feel like I'm a part of a Survivor family. So I just wanted to say thanks for what you do. And hopefully next week when I come back, I'll be in a better frame of mind. Bye.
Well,
thank you for sharing, David. And know that our thoughts are with you. We totally understand.
Tribe's here with you, David. We've been down that road too.
And it's never an easy road, but that know that we're here thinking about you.
Absolutely. Next up, we got an email from Dan in San Antonio. Wow, what a season and what a podcast. My entire family would like to see Natalie win, but if she does, and we totally realize what would have to happen, and it would be drastic and amazing, but does that make this a good season? First one out and she wins? That's certainly a fundamental question to look at if that comes to be. Just a thought that came up while talking about the season. I hear a lot of people's opinions on winners edit. Well, maybe Natalie's the one getting it all along. We all feel horrible for her being out there for all that time and love how she's killing most of the challenges, and the edit on EOE has been about her all season. We established that Ben and Michelle are on the not winning list for us. Stay safe and thank you for what y'all do. P.S. My wife and I have a 2-year-old, and we noticed a lot of people watch Survivor with their children. Well, at our house, Survivor is a no-kid zone because we love to honestly watch it with no responsibilities. All right.
That's okay too, Dan.
Sure. Yep. Thanks, Dan. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and that was a fantastic 2-hour episode. Brilliant. I usually try not to think about the edit. I don't want to judge everything based off edit, but for Jezebel, this late in the game, you can't help but think, who hasn't gotten a lot of screen time? Stuff like that. So I'm like, who has the least shot of winning right now? And I'm thinking Nick, Michelle, and Denise. I don't think Denise is going this episode. For some reason, I feel like she's going to be an early boot in the finale. I do not think she's going home this week. And then I started thinking, okay, so is it Nick and Michelle? I guess I'll go with that. Sure, Nick and Michelle. So I went with it. I stuck to it. Been thinking that all week, and I stuck to it. Let's have all the entertaining, exciting people safe. So the first half didn't go my way. Nick wins immunity. And I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, could still be Michelle. She plays her thing, not Michelle. And she didn't play for Jeremy. Oh, and my heart sank. I was like, I know it. And boom, Jeremy's gone. It stings, man. It stings. Then, next episode, nobody's talking to Michelle. She's completely out of it. Boom, wins immunity. I'm like, what? Oh, no. I was like, but Nick's still there. And then start talking about Nick, and I'm like, okay. And then start talking about Ben, and I'm like, okay. And then they start talking about Denise. And I was, well, I don't have her safe, so, better than Ben, but no. And then it's Nick, so I'm like, oh, so I lost one safe point, but I got a vote-off point, so pretty happy. Oh, boy. I mean, double boots are hard to guess. I feel like I did fairly well. I was half right. We still have plenty of time left, and I'm like, okay, what's about to happen? Then we go to Edge, and I'm like, are we going to end the episode with the challenge? No, we end it with a hype to the challenge. Bro, why? And a whole season recap. Thank you. Why was that there? Oh, man. And then I saw all of the fire tokens that Natalie had. Natalie, the first boot. Natalie's a beast. Natalie's awesome. She's won all these things, and she's done really well. It just hurts me that the fact that the first boot has the most power going into a battle back challenge. That shouldn't happen. I wish that advantages in the challenge just weren't a thing, so everybody went into it even. You can have advantages for when you get back into the game. Sure, I'm fine with that, whatever. But not for the challenge. It just hurts because I know she's gonna win. I know it. There's no way Natalie doesn't win this challenge, and it's... Oh, man. But yeah, so, yeah, Natalie's going to win the battle back, and Sarah's going to get second. That's, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hopefully Tony wins. I don't know what's going to happen. Then, yeah, okay. That's all I got. I will see you guys in the finale.
All right. Thanks, Parker.
You know what it felt like to me was that they did the recap. They did the first part of the finale at the end of the penultimate because... you did the little recap that they would normally do at the beginning of a finale.
Okay.
And then you settled up over on EOE so you can shut the door over there, and that for the 3 hour that we get this Wednesday, they're coming straight into the challenge.
Right.
So they don't have to do any of that. So I think there must be a lot that's going to happen, and so they tacked that on so they could come straight into that EOE challenge, and the one person comes back in the game, everybody else goes to Ponderosa, gets some food, and starts to help their brains work so they can figure out who they really want to vote for.
Who they're going to give that $2 million to. Yep, good deal. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Slappy.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's Slappy McGee. Calling about another Survivor, double episode. Pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Kind of like where this thing is going. It's a lot of fun. It looks like it's Tony to lose at this point. And it's interesting how he can be playing such a big game, yet kind of under the radar at the same time, as no one is targeting him, or it seems like they're not targeting him, or he's manipulating their minds or something. I don't know what's going on, but seemed like he would be the target. And I don't know why they didn't go for him last time, but they didn't. And he seems pretty in control of things, so I guess it's his to lose at this point. We'll see how the ending shakes out. This whole fire token thing is kind of bugging me because they made it a big deal, and I think it could work, but the way that the editors have chose to not show things and not give us a tally of who's got what, it just seems confusing. So we're just, the big element they've added, we just have no clue about what's going on. So I think that the editing part of that has not worked out well, and it's certainly not, there's no scroll or something to show us what's going on, like, oh, this is Jeremy, he's got 5 tokens or whatever. So, and there was a thing where they were buying stuff with their tokens, and like, oh, we're gonna get some rice. I'll get another thing of rice, and we'll buy some more. Like, what? They were buying stuff, so they haven't showed us what they were using their tokens for, and only at certain times have they done that. And so I think they could have done a better job with that. But maybe it's the first time they've done it, so they're still trying to work out the kinks. But so I think it could work. I just don't think it is working right now in terms of viewing and making it interesting, because right now it's just kind of annoying. So the couple of vote outs there, I got both of them. I thought I had both of them right, but I had Denise in one of them, and they switched off of her, so I didn't get that one right. I got 5 out of 6, so pretty good. Looks like I'm catching up with you, Stacy. Got to watch your rear view, because I got Tony as my ultimate survivor. But I know how this ending thing works, where you get 87 points for guessing the person who comes in third. I'm not sure exactly how the points work, but I know it's weird and crazy, so we'll see. I'm probably going to mess it up here. But it's going to be fun. Going to come down to it. Thanks so much for all you guys do. Oh, one other thing, before I say my glorious thank yous to you, is that when they were going through things and they were saying, they were doing the Denise fake out at the end, Adam, really, he called it. He knew exactly what it was. And he even whispered it to Sophie. He said, "This is a fake out, right?" And she was like, "No." She shook her head like she didn't know what was going on. But as hard time as we give to Adam, he really does know things and strategies. And it was kind of good to see, because he's not really, getting much camera time, and he's not really can't do well in the physical challenges and stuff. But he He did. He did nail that. He does have a good perception. I kind of was cool to see that. So he kind of sniffed that out right away. I just thought I'd point that out. That's it for me. Thanks for all you do, guys, and hopefully you have a great finale. Woohoo! Or as Pete would say, woo! Or as anybody else would say, I'll talk to you later. All right. Slappy out.
I would like for Slappy to get a job at a radio station.
Yeah.
Being an announcer so I could listen to him talk.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be cool? He's got the voice for it.
Definitely. Next up, we got an email from Ed in Milwaukee.
Joanne and Stacy, I'm not a Tony fan, therefore I am not enjoying recent episodes. It reminds me of the early seasons of Survivor where there was a dominant alliance and other players were pronged out. Everyone watching the show knows that Tony is piloting the plane and that Sarah and Ben are passengers riding in first class. Some of them may argue that the viewer's perspective is clouded by the edit, but even the jury knows that Tony is running the show. Michelle is playing hard, but it's amazing to me that the others, Jeremy, Denise, and Nick, did not unite with Michelle when they had the chance to attempt to blindside Tony or take out Sarah or Ben. Now that Jeremy and Nick are gone, I predict that Tony Troika, the Tony Troika, will have an easy road to the final three. Tony has a history of being a very sneaky and very shifty player. Therefore, it shocks me that anyone, especially experienced winners such as Ben, Sarah, and Jeremy, would place total trust in Tony. Jeremy's meat shield strategy is flawed. There comes a time in the game when you have to discard your meat shield, and that time is past. Jeremy thought that Tony was his meat shield, but in reality, it was the other way around. Jeremy was Tony's meat shield. After a quiet start, Tony is now playing like he did in his first season. His possession of an immunity idol and the fact that everyone knows he has it allows him to leverage it the way he leveraged the Tyler Perry idol in the first season. It discourages potential opponents from trying to vote him out of the game. Also note that Sarah is the new Trish and Ben is the new Woo. Like Trish, Sarah forgave Tony for taking actions that were not in her best interest by voting out Sophie, and Tony has been wooing Ben in such a manner to make him believe that he is a lion. Tony is a great strategist. The issue I raise is why do others fall for it? I would like to re-express my displeasure with the show's format that allows someone to re-enter the game at the final six, but I do not take my displeasure out at the person who re-enters the game. I cheered for Chris Underwood to win, and there's a good chance that I will cheer for this season's returnee, especially if it's Natalie. The extended footage on the closing of Exile Island was entertaining, but it seemed like filler. It reminded me of Stacy's favorite segment, Fallen Comrades. It seems as though the editors got the episodes mixed up. The family visit episode should have been 2 hours, with the additional time devoted to gameplay, and this episode should have been 1 hour. However, it is still Survivor, and I dread the thought of no Survivor all summer, and perhaps no Survivor this fall. Finally, after listening to last week's feedback show, I came up with a theory, probably half-baked, as to why Rob insisted on finishing the coconut carrying challenge. In the log carrying challenge several weeks ago, the logs were used as additional firewood. Perhaps hauling the coconuts to the camp gave Rob more coconuts that he could use for food and drink.
Yeah, more crispy coconut.
Yep. All right, thanks, Ed. Up next, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California, from the middle of the woods, taking a walk. I liked this episode, not as much as the previous couple of episodes, but it was great because it was long and there was a lot of really amazing strategic things that happened. I was mostly impressed with Michelle. I love when it seems like they're completely out of options and they just battle their way back. I feel like Michelle really proved why she has every right to be there. You know, she had nothing going into the episode. No one would talk to her. She had nothing, and she was able to work with Nick, who also battled his way back from about a month ago. She won immunity. Oh, God, and doing the disadvantage against Ben, that was awesome. That was wonderful to see. And I really, in this episode, started, because we're so close to the end, you're wondering, all right, who's going to make it to Final 3? Who's going to come back from Edge of Extinction? I mean, it looks like it could be Natalie. She has so many advantages. Who's going to make it through Fire Making Challenge? And I started to think, Sarah and Ben, I feel like I haven't seen them do much to prove to me why they've come this far. I feel like Sarah's tied into Tony. He's gone on a run. I mean, he has really pulled out every stop. And it feels like her only ace in her sleeve is that they're, thick as thieves. And he's kind of just taking her along with him at this point. So I felt like in this episode, Michelle kind of proved why she deserves to be there more than Sarah at this point. Sarah was even left out of the vote where they got rid of Sophie. She hasn't been in on everything, and I feel like she's got the luck of alliances, not having to be scrappy and fight for it. Ben, it's funny. I rooted so hard for Ben in his season, and I've been rooting so hard against him in this season. I just don't see him doing anything but being a kind of socially aggressive and not willing to work with people and kind of being a loudmouth and throwing his weight around. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Ben. But again, he's got the luck of a good alliance. And as we know with this game, it could be the luck of who you allied yourself with. Tony, I could see going out at the Fire Making Challenge. He's done great. But if Natalie was the one who got back in, I could see her going all the way. She's got an idol. She's got so many friends on the jury. She's fought so hard to get back in. And of course, for JSFL, who do you root for? Who do you vote for? I don't know. Every week, I just don't know who to vote for. And this week, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. So good luck, everybody. Can't wait to see what happens. I very well may be singing a parody song. It could be me. Everyone have a good week and take care. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanna and Stacy, except for the 10-minute infomercial at the end, it was a decent 2-hour episode. The storylines are converging, and an edit is shaping up. My fan fiction guess, Natalie re-enters the game, allies with Michelle and Denise, and goes on an immunity run. Tony loses to Ben at firemaking. Natalie becomes sole survivor, and Tyson virtually returns her extra idol to her at the reunion. My other observations. Michelle should have brought her butter knife to the edge. It would have worked great with those jars of peanut butter. Chekhov's coin number 1. Jeremy says his game is not coming down to a coin flip. This week's season 40 time-filling activity, arts and crafts painting. Given Tony's calendar skills, his favorite song is probably 8 days a week. That's perfect. Sarah and Tony let Ben drive. They probably used one of those special Hollywood car rigs where the wheel and the pedals aren't functional. Tony drove from his spy trunk. Ben isn't a hyena, but he's not really a lion either. He's more of a paper lion. Tony talks like a pro wrestler. He drop kicks sand like one too. Michelle may not be a baller, but she sure balled over not catching any balls. So, winners at war vets can look forward to having post-survivor trust disorder. That would seem to be the case. Michelle did that lazy toss of her 50-50 coin because she knows flippers don't win. Chekhov's coin number 2. Jeremy's game ended by Michelle flipping the 50-50 coin for herself. Ben and Jeremy may have been gun finders, but Jeremy had no bullets. It made perfect sense that Queen of Extinction Natalie knew where the throne was. Nick's decision about his endgame ended his game. The edit has been favorable to Michelle. It shows she definitely earned her spot this season. Nick joins Sandra in the Vote Yourself Out Club. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. A move worthy of a schmoo. I laughed at the funny faces Sarah made while Tony laid out his plan. Michelle needs the necklace like Jeff needs a blue shirt and khakis. Lol. Nick's confused. Vampires don't howl. That's werewolves. Hopefully the 10-minute recap this week will save us from starting the finale with one. I really want to see Ben and Tony team up for the amazing race. I've heard speculation that the next season might be held in the U.S. How about having an all-loser season of players we never wanted to see again? Jeez. I'd suggest Survivor Everglades or Survivor Death Valley. Russell versus Alligator sounds like a winner to me. Next, the finale. Who will rejoin the tribe? Can Tony avoid being a Devons? Will Natalie break Chris's record of fewest days played by a winner? Tune in Wednesday to find out. Anyway, that's it from me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from MikeK.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is MikeK from SoCal. You guys said it was a 4-day cycle, but the 2-hour double episode actually spanned 5 days, days 30 through 34. And then you guys pointed out about that cool calendar that Jeremy and Tony were arguing about. If you look at that calendar carefully, you'll notice that Sandra's name is listed before Parvati. This was confirmed by the press images and file names and date they were taken of those two tribal councils. I figured they probably edited Parvati out before Sandra, since Sandra's tribal council was more epic. In the immunity challenge, I was so surprised to see people struggling with a basic 15-piece slide puzzle. It's really simple once you know the technique. And you would think, wouldn't everyone practice a slide puzzle? And on the tribal council, since the majority split their votes 3-2, the 50-50 coin would have only saved whoever had 3 votes if they happened to flip it safe. Even if Michelle gave that 50-50 coin to Jeremy and he flipped safe, Michelle would have been voted out on the revote. So that's why I chose Jeremy for the first vote out. And Joanna, I think you asked Stacy if he was surprised that Michelle voted for Jeremy, but I think you meant Ben. Jeremy and Michelle were hoping at least another person or two would join them in voting out Ben, but that didn't happen. I'm surprised that Ben, Denise, Sarah, and Tony and the next tribal council didn't split their votes 2-2 against Michelle and Nick. Instead, they put all 4 votes on Nick. I guess they were kind of sure that neither of them had an idol, but it seems like it would have been safer to split it 2-2. I mistakenly thought that Denise, being considered a hyena by Tony, would be the target for that tribal council, so I chose Denise as my second vote off. I totally forgot that Nick was the target last week until he won immunity, so I should have chosen Nick. Instead, I lost a safe point in Nick and didn't get a vote out for him. I'm doing so poorly with vote outs this season. It's interesting that both Edge of Extinction return challenges are basically identical to the original season. And all these winners had an opportunity to watch that season before coming out, so they should be prepared for what the next challenge is. Natalie has to be the odds-on favorite to win this challenge, being the only one with 3 advantages. And Natalie happened to be my original USB 24, but I gave up on her and switched to Jeremy for USB 5. I am now regretting that decision. Seems like Tony has to be the favorite to win this season now, with maybe Sarah or Natalie as next favorites if they can get Tony out. Ben, Michelle, and Denise, I don't see how they're going to win. I think they're pretty big long shots. Man, I was so looking forward to this season of 20 winners. I had planned 2 trips to Rob as a podcast live know-it-alls in April, one to New York and one to Atlanta. Those were obviously canceled. The Superfan get-together for season 40 finale was going to be epic, getting a chance to hang out with 20 winners, and for me to finally meet Danny and Yule. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Such terrible timing for COVID-19 to happen during this super special season of Survivor. And we have to settle for a virtual live finale and reunion. Hope that turns out okay. Missed seeing you guys. Was hoping maybe you guys would have been at the reunion, but anyways, looking forward to your recap and the listener feedback. This is MikeK from SoCal.
Awesome. So good to hear from you, Mike. Yep, it put the kibosh on lots of plans for the big season 40 celebrations, didn't it? I saw a picture that Michelle had posted where she was testing out the rig, all the equipment they had shipped over to her. It was like filling up her little apartment so that she would be ready to do the remote reunion show. Thanks, Mike. Next up, we got an email from Robert in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I thought it was a great episode this week. Can you believe that Tony won both immunity challenges? Or am I remembering that wrong? I know no one voted for him, so surely he won both immunity challenges, right? It's driving me crazy that Tony is running away with the win here, and the only one that seems to realize it is Michelle.
Now that's some Denise-level sarcasm he was practicing right there.
Why didn't Nick vote for Jeremy? What was he thinking? Nick just seems clueless in general this episode.
Mm-hmm.
His confessional, where he touted how good he felt about his position in the game, while clearly also being on the chopping block, was comedic gold. It was very satisfying thinking Nick and Michelle get immunity wins this episode, especially Michelle after that first immunity challenge. I love when people know they need to win and they dig deep to get immunity. If Michelle is ever going to play Survivor a third time, she should consider getting a basketball net installed at her house. Although this season has had some ups and downs and unnecessary twists, I think I speak for all fans when I say that I am thankful it's here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't made my picks yet for JSFL, but I think the winner has got to be Tony or maybe Natalie. As much as we don't like it, Edge is a part of the game, and Natalie has dominated it while making friends with the whole jury.
Mm-hmm.
If Tony makes it to the end, though, and I think he does, he wins by a landslide. Enjoy the finale, everyone. All right, thanks, Robert. Up next, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Well, the stage is set, everyone, for our big finale. Hello, this is Jeremiah here with some feedback. I don't have a whole lot to say about these 2-hour episode we got this week. Obviously, just like everyone else, I was a little disappointed and surprised that no one tried to go after Tony and Sarah, but I'm cool with that because that's who I'm rooting for to win the game. Now, the only other thing I wanted to mention is this extended ending that we got. You know, honestly, guys, I'm perfectly okay with it if that means that we got all that stuff out of the way and we can jump right into the battle back next week and be able to have a much tighter, concise finale. And I'm okay with that. The only thing I really kind of wish they would have done, if they could have pulled this off, and I don't know if they had the time for it, but why could we have just got more Survivor? Give us a whole other episode. Take this stuff we got in this into this episode and show us what happens when the person of the sixth place person goes out. Just give us a whole other episode, and that way we could go on into the finale with a final five, a true final five. That would have been so much better. But anyway, what do you guys think? All right, so what's going to happen next week? That's what everybody wants to know, right? Now, I'm still leaning towards, of course, Tony winning it all. So he's in my number one spot. And I do think that one of his, teammates is that he's been working with, either Ben or Sarah, will probably be in that second spot. I'm kind of leaning towards Michelle in the third spot. Especially after that spike that we had with her this week, I think that means that maybe she does slip into that third spot. Now, I do think that Natalie is going to be the person that comes back. And, of course, she has a hidden immunity, will be basically essentially means she's definitely getting to 6. And I think she's going to try to work with Michelle and maybe somebody like Denise, maybe get those girls together to try to get out either Tony, Sarah, or Ben. So since I think Tony's in the finale, that means that either Sarah or Ben will go out 6. And then, of course, I think then they'll go after Natalie at that point, and then we'll have the leftover Denise there, maybe losing out on fire to someone else. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now as far as where I think our finale is headed. I know a lot of people wonder, well, what happens if Natalie gets into the finale? I honestly do not think that someone coming back from EOE is going to win this thing. I don't think they're going to pull a Chris Underwood. I mean, even if Natalie just kicks butt, I just don't think they're going to give it to someone who is basically was voted out first and spent almost the entire time on EOE. I just don't see them doing that. I don't think there's enough people there. Now, if she does get in there, and I could definitely see her finishing second. Especially, if it's her against Tony and, say, Michelle, like I mentioned earlier, I could see that, but her finishing second. But I just don't think they're going to give someone from EOE the money. All right, well, anyway, there's my thoughts. I cannot wait to hear what everybody else has to say. And, that's it for me. Again, this is Jeremiah coming to you from Southern California in my car once again.
Outstanding. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi everyone, this is Jen in California. Well, for a while there I was feeling like this is the longest season ever, but here we are, we're coming up on the finale, and I can't believe it's over. I'm going to miss it when it's gone. As frustrating as Edge of Extinction has been this season, I always say it is a season of Survivor, and there's nothing better than that on TV. Boy, it's going to
Agreed.
be tough to predict the outcome. Edge of Extinction just throws a complete big monkey wrench into predicting the final 5. We have literally every single player to choose from. I've already made my picks, and I can't even remember who I thought was going to come back from Extinction. You know what? I don't think it mattered when I considered who the final 5 would be. I'm just going to predict that whoever comes back from the Edge is going to go out. But now that I think about it, if somebody comes back with an idol, that's totally going to blow it. I think that Tony and Ben are a lock for the final 3. I think that they're still going to band together when the person comes back from Extinction and make every attempt to get whoever comes back out as soon as possible. Although now that I said that, I'm not really sure. I can't imagine that anybody's going to want to make fire against Ben, and if Ben makes fire, I guess everybody in the game has agreed that he's going to beat them at making fire, so I don't know that they're going to want him to get there. They may target him at the final 5. That would mean he has to use his idol to get past the vote out where the Edge of Extinction person comes back. Boy, what a completely impossible logic puzzle we've got going on here. Honestly, as soon as the episode was over, I started thinking about the finale and running numbers and considering who I thought would come back from Extinction, so much so that I honestly have forgotten most of what happened in the last episode. And so I'm unable to comment much on that, but I can comment on the fact that I'm very happy Denise is still in this. She's my USB. However, I'm not quite certain I'm feeling a winner vibe from her. I think this group, the 5 that remain, there's a really even playing field here. I know Tony's made the most moves, and I think if he makes it to the end that he's got it on lock, but I'm not entirely certain they're going to let him get there. And at this point, I'm just rambling, so I'm going to stop my feedback here and wait to see what all you other Survivor fans have to say. I can't wait for the finale and to see who's going to join Sandra in the ranks of 2-time Survivor winner. Till next week, enjoy the finale, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. I agree. It's challenging, but it is so fun to think about. And that's why we enjoy the listener feedback show so much, to give us different ideas there. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and the episode certainly started fast and furious because before I knew it, we were at Tribal, and Michelle was trying to decide if she should keep her 50-50 flip or play it for herself. Let's just say that she chose wisely, and that upon watching this, Ben must feel a little foolish seeing how he was played so hard, and easily, very, very easily. But Michelle plays the idol for herself, and then milks it for a little bit more extra tension, and then flips it like a pancake in a pan so that she's safe. You know, I meant to watch it again just to see how many times that thing, rotated before landing? But I don't believe it was much. I think she practiced that flip endlessly. So, yeah, we got through the first episode, and I said to myself, well, that went by fast, and hey, there was no exile coverage. Awesome! Then I looked at the clock and thought, whoa, something must be getting ready to go down here. And because of the time and the events that were happening, I found myself looking at the clock constantly, which was actually distracting. But more on that later. So yeah, when the second episode, so to speak, started, and I saw we had sale mail, I knew we were in for an extended period of time on exile. Luckily, though, Natalie made short work of the riddle, and after seeing what kind of monkey wrench she could throw into the works, we were taken back to our real legit players. But within a few minutes, we were at a challenge, and you could see Ben fuming. But man, oh man, did he ever come back. I mean, Nick and I guess Michelle as well did the right thing by targeting Ben. Because me, I just would have gone for Tony and then tried to vote him and Sarah out. And why that didn't happen, I'll never know. However, these two thought about it longer than I would have, and in the end, it really paid off. Well, for Michelle at least. Yeah, she was really excited to win, but I hate to see people celebrate too much because it usually means that they go next. Okay, so I can't believe I'm going to say this, but both of these tribals were sort of boring to me. Did anyone else feel this way? Where was the whispering? Where was the game of musical chairs that we're used to seeing? Yeah, just kidding. The lack of those actions weren't what made these two tribals plain. It was the questions, which just revolved around what people thought about the game itself rather than what they were feeling about the other players. I will say that I was worried about Denise, but in the end it was all for naught. So we lost Nick, and there was no tie vote, or idols being played, or anything. So it was somewhat anticlimactic for me, with a ton of time left over to spare. 2 hours of Survivor my butt. maybe if you ask Jeremy, but I think Tony and I both agree that it was like, what, an hour and a half minus commercials? And I'll just let it go at that because I know everyone else will cover this nicely. A few more random thoughts, though. Making fire. Come on, do we really have this many players out there this deep in the game worried about having to do this? After that coin flipping expertise, I'll bet Michelle has practiced making fire. Hopefully these players are trying to act all, oh, I can't make fire, in hopes of getting to do it because they actually can. Did that make any sense? And Natalie's purchasing an idol for Tyson shows the bond these people form out there. And let's face it, she just bought a jury member. Come on. And then there's Jeremy and Nick, and to an extent Kim, who all get screwed for showing up to Exile late and not getting a chance to earn any tokens. And hey, if Wendell makes it back in and he and Michelle make it to the final 3, will Wendell ask her to marry him before the votes are read? Okay, finally, I love the fact that although we all have different opinions about these players and their gameplay, we all respect each other and our possibly opposing views. This is a perfect getaway from everything that's happening in the world today. So, to all of you, I want to say thanks and good luck next week. Be safe, everyone, and bye.
And thank you, Paul. Good job.
I have so many scenarios.
I know we've had a lot of fun, haven't we, talking about it since the recap? We've just been running ideas and just having a blast. And
well, here's my one that I guess this is what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Okay. You're saying this is most likely.
This is most likely
okay.
for me.
Gotcha.
To choose. Now, I haven't decided, haven't made mine.
I like how you were working on it as we were listening to the listener feedback. It was factoring all this in.
So, okay, here we go. In 6th place, I put Sarah because Natalie comes back in, which therefore means Natalie, Ben, and Tony have idols.
Yeah.
So it's either Sarah, Michelle, and Denise, and therefore I chose Sarah to go so they could split up Ben and Tony and Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, so next, Natalie doesn't win immunity. They all band together to vote Natalie out because they are terrified that if she gets to the end, she's got it.
Okay.
Okay, then I have Denise going, unfortunately. And the final 3 being Ben, Michelle, and Tony. And they go out in that order. Ben, Michelle, who I think will get some, I think she'll get a few votes. And Tony wins.
Tony for the win. Okay.
Okay.
So now, what you're saying is that Ben probably beat Denise in a fire-making challenge, and that's why she went out 4th.
I didn't have her going out 4th. I had Ben going. Wait, I did have Denise going out 4th. Anyway, yeah.
That'll do.
So.
I guess you didn't think about that.
No, I didn't think about the fire challenge at all.
Okay. All right.
I just thought they'd want to target Denise.
Sorry, what's another one?
Okay, now I kind of like this one because Denise is my USB.
Okay.
It's not what I think will happen.
It's the bias.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I have Sarah going out. Then Natalie wins immunity, so they take Tony out because he's used his idol.
Okay.
And then Natalie doesn't win, so they all agree to get her out, so she doesn't win. And Ben, Michelle, and Denise go to the end. Ben comes in 3rd, Michelle 2nd. Denise wins.
Because she was able to take out Sandra and Tony and Sarah. She was able to be part of all that.
She won some immunities. And,
Yep.
And she was in the bottom for a long time and managed to get there. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think she would pull the votes, even though it's possible.
That's the exciting one if you're cheering for Denise, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you have her for your USB 24 like we do.
What, you got another one?
Okay, I could also see, and again, I have Sarah going out 6th, then Tony, then Ben, and Michelle, Denise, and Natalie go to the end.
Yeah.
And
Who
they
wins
finish
that?
in that order. Michelle 3rd, Denise 2nd, and Natalie for the win. And then I had one more scenario where Tony goes out first. He
With
decides
an idol in
to,
his pocket.
No.
Oh.
He played it for Sarah.
Oh, and then goes out.
And they pop Tony because he played it for Sarah. And then Natalie goes out in 5th. Denise goes out next. And then Ben, Michelle, and Sarah go to the end. Ben third, Michelle second, and Sarah for the win. But I could also see a scenario where Michelle could win. The only thing I couldn't come up with was a scenario where Ben wins. I just didn't feel that Ben was going to, even if he gets there, I don't think he.
Yeah, he's got
I could be totally wrong.
He's got that Gavin feel. What if he's instrumental in taking down Tony and Sarah, and it's not Natalie? So you don't have superstar Natalie coming back from the Edge. It's someone else. It's Tyson or Danny or Boston Rob.
I guess I've already decided Natalie's my choice, and that's why.
Well, I'm trying to come up with some scenario with the choices that you have between Ben, Michelle, and Boston Rob.
Figure that in. I think if anybody without an idol comes back, they go sixth, period.
Right. Okay.
No question, easy vote, done. No matter who they are. I don't care if it's Rob. I don't care if it. Well, Rob has an idol.
Yeah,
so
he does. Yeah.
He wouldn't. But anybody else.
Parvati.
Parvati. Parvati's special.
Uh-huh.
Some
might
of
have
the
been a reason I chose her.
might want to work with Parvati.
Uh-huh.
So that I'd have to give some thought. But I still think.
So it's Ben, Michelle, and Parvati. Final three. Who wins?
Ben, Michelle, and Parvati. Parvati.
Okay. Not Ben, huh?
No.
He's a Gavin again. It's tough to get Ben a win.
I don't even relate to Gavin, but yeah, just I don't think it's there. I don't know how the jury views him, but I think it's not in a positive way for some reason. I don't even know why.
Yeah, doesn't have the currency to cash in at the end, it seems like.
And I could be totally wrong. If Ben wins, good on him.
If he flips a script on Tony and Sarah, those are big takedowns, and he's building his resume and his story there.
I just do not see that happening. I think if that were going to happen, it would have happened last time. They didn't have immunity. Come on, people. What you had clear sailing.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, I thought if Tony lost immunity, everyone would think,
done.
Yeah, this is a done deal. Easy vote. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we have a chance.
I thoroughly enjoyed getting to hear all these different theories and the different takes on the game.
What is your prediction?
I've given mine before. I mean, your second scenario was really mine from the recap show about how Denise wins. Yeah, and another one is Tony clearly wins. And then you've got the Natalie wildcard win. Those three are the ones that keep running through my head.
The main ones, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm having fun, just like with us talking about it and coming up with pulling some fact or referencing something someone said here in the listener feedback show.
Well,
I'm sure we're going to have a good time all the way up to the finale thinking about all those.
One of my thoughts, too, was, well, why wouldn't we think that Nick or Jeremy would have a better chance to come back because they haven't been out there as long. They should be stronger because
advantages.
They had been eating. But then I thought, but I think somebody bought a bunch of peanut butter all along.
And that jar was empty by the time she was done.
Yeah, before she went in, that jar was running over to start with, and then it was way down.
Yep.
So I thought, well, maybe and we know she spent at least a couple of tokens on food, so, and that they've kind of done that along, and I think Parvati bought a good bit too, so so yeah, they could be stronger than we think for the challenge, but that'll tell it all. If we'd have just got that challenge at the end of this one, it would have been way easier.
Now we've got that to look forward to. Hopefully the very first thing out of the gate in the finale. I'm with everybody else here in the listener feedback show. You've done the recap. Please don't burn any minutes on it in the finale. Let's hit that challenge. And we'll go back and watch the challenge from Edge of Extinction, the second return challenge, where Chris made his way back in and look at it to see if that might give us any extra insight into how it might finish out, if it's, like Mike was saying, identical.
Well, I went with Natalie because you think, how does she not win? She had an advantage in 3 different sections of the challenge. How does she not win? because she's good physically. She's been eating, so, and we know her endurance is incredible. So, and she's determined as all get out.
Still looking good. You never know what'll happen when you wake up that morning, though. What version of you's going to show up.
Yep. Well, I could see Wendell doing well, too.
Yeah.
I just didn't want him to.
That's the thing with a phenomenal all-winners cast, is that on any given day, someone that you weren't expecting could show up and win.
Yeah, and Tyson did last time. He certainly could again.
Absolutely. Oh, it's going to be good. Looking forward to the finale, even though it means it's the end. But we're going to have a good time all the way up to that. We'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to send in your thoughts and your predictions, your analysis, and sharing things from your particular walk in life to help us think about this finale and how it's all going to play out. Good job, everybody. A very big thanks to Remy for your donation. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you so much for that.
Now, here is the important part. If you play JSFL, all 19 people have been added back in to your picks choices. Now, please don't choose more than one of the people that were out on EOE.
I'd like to encourage Cameron and Chris to choose 2, but not 3.
I see. Okay. All right.
I'd say it's okay for them to do that.
You don't have a chance to get any points on more than one person from EOE. You can do what you want to, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, but they are there so that you can choose whoever you want to choose. And here's how you do your final 6 selection. The final 5 is a given. You just go into your inner picks page and list the order that you think they will finish, winner through 5 or 5th place through the winner.
Okay.
Now for 6th, in that same area, just to the right of your inner picks page, you will see answer question. You want to click here, and you want to write the first name only of the person you think finishes the game in 6th place. When you enter your answer, enter their first name only. And if you don't know the spelling, now the casing is not important.
Uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it does matter with spaces. It does matter with spelling. So if you don't know how to spell their name, then go back to your picks page. All the names are right there, all 19 people, and do a copy paste of the first name of the person you want to choose. Go back over to the answer question and just do the copy paste there. Do the paste into, so you have the correct spelling. Because if you don't have the correct spelling, you won't get credit. You won't get your points for that. So, and don't forget to get these choices in by 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time on Wednesday.
3 hours with a tiny little remote reunion show. Let's hope.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just email. But and if you don't remember how the scoring goes and all that, click on the JSFL website, click on the official rules, and it'll explain it all right there.
What the possible points are. So
yeah.
Just like the game, it all comes down to the end and how you make these choices there for JSFL. I'm excited, ecstatic, looking forward to it. Thanks again for everybody sharing their thoughts. And Joanne and I are going to have a good time bouncing ideas off each other as we head into the finale. We'll be back on Wednesday with that recap, and then the following Saturday with one final listener feedback show. Looking forward to it. Anything else you need to add?
I don't think so. Don't give up. Doesn't matter if your score's really low. Does not mean you can't win.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Have a good one.